What is happening, YouTube family? It is your boy B New. I'm coming right back at you this morning. Of course, we had a lot of action in the NBA last night, but as usual, you know what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on the marquee matchup in the NBA last night, which was the Los Angeles Lakers, which are probably the prohibitive favorites right now, visiting the Philadelphia 76ers, who a lot of people think are in the championship conversation. And last night they proved that maybe they were, and that they probably maybe could challenge Brooklyn or Milwaukee in the East to come out of the East. But first and foremost, I want everybody, listen, everybody calm down. Everybody on Lakers Nation calm down. Everybody, LeBron haters calm down. Lakers haters calm down. Like, everybody just calm down. See, I love to analyze games because there's always a story within a game and there's always something that's going on. But one game does not a season make. One game does not a season make. And what's beautiful about the NBA is there's another game tonight for the Los Angeles Lakers to redeem themselves. But let's just kind of jump right into it. And let me tell you what my key observation was as far as the outcome and what led to the outcome of the game. So with that being said, the first thing I would like to point out is Doc Rivers just really outcoached Frank Vogel last night. I mean, Doc Rivers really outcoached Frank Vogel last night in so many different categories and so many different ways, as far as the way he did his rotations and his matchups. Especially, it was key at the end of the game. But Doc Rivers really outcoached Frank Vogel, and that was I think the main thing that led to the Lakers' demise last night. And one of the main things that Frank Vogel did was at the end of the game that I think really cost them a chance at victory. And I'll jump into that in a minute. But first of all, I just want to say Marc Gasol last night, even though he was a minus on the floor last night over his overall plus minus, it was showed why he was picked up. Even though I still would rather have Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, Marc Gasol showed that his IQ level on the basketball court is very high amongst people that's in the NBA still. And he knows how to, get back on defense and do all the subtle things that he needs to do. And last night he actually did make a couple threes. I think he was 2 out of 4 in threes, which is going to help the Lakers spread the floor if he can continue to knock them down. So if he can just get a little bit better and get his confidence back up and knocking down some of those shots, because they're going to continue to leave him open. And if they leave him open, then he got to make it, because they're going to clog that paint and just dare him to shoot it. Now, if he start knocking them down and bring the big man out of the paint, that's going to leave a lot more room for Anthony Davis and to LeBron James to operate in the paint. But I would just say that the main thing that led to the way the game was, I mean, the Lakers, they showed some of their defensive prowess in the second, third, and fourth quarter. But in the first quarter, they just came out and did a lot of fouling. I think they put Joel Embiid on the line like he had like 8 attempts in the first quarter already. So they just came out getting in early foul trouble, and that let 76ers get out to a big lead. And there was times throughout the game when LeBron James was in the game that they would come back and tie the game up, or be only down by 2 or 3. But then when LeBron James would go get his usual rest, then what would happen is they would come right back. They would take the lead right back and extend the lead back out to 8 or 12. The 76ers would. So it was just like a fluctuation. So really, I just feel like the Lakers, I feel like that they match up well against the 76ers. I don't really think that the 76ers are a better team. I just feel like they played better last night, and I just felt like they was out-coached. So like if it was in a series, of course in a series, you're going to start to watch more film on each team, focus on individual matchups, and start making key strategic things on defense of what you can do to shut down some players and things like that. So at the end of the day, it's not a loss that I'm terribly concerned with, especially if you look at the end of the game. And that lineup that they're using at the end of the game with Schroeder, Caruso, LeBron, AD, and KCP, I like that lineup because it really spreads the floor, because all of them are capable of shooting threes. Caruso is capable of shooting threes. KCP is capable of shooting threes. LeBron, of course, is capable, and so is AD. But really what happened, the really get, because the game was about over with about 3 or 4 minutes left. The Lakers was losing by 12, and I thought maybe they could come back, but man, what happened was the Caruso showed up and showed out. You know, his name Caruso, but a lot of people in LA say the Caruso show because he put on the show. And he that's why I wouldn't really want to get rid of him, because whenever he and LeBron are in the game together, it's always a high plus minus for the Lakers whenever the two of those are on the floor together. If you hadn't noticed, they got a very good chemistry. But nonetheless, Caruso, he had a couple of key offensive rebounds, hit a couple of threes, and he just came in and cut the lead down to 4 or 5. And at that point, I was like, oh, Philly's about to crumble. Philly is about to crumble, and the Lakers just going to go ahead and take this. So this is what I want to get into as far as how Frank Vogel was outcoached, especially at the end of the game, when I feel like the Lakers should have won that game had he made the right coaching decisions down the stretch. And I give you two examples of how Doc Rivers did not do that. So there was one play in which it was like 2 minutes left, and the Sixers was only up by 3 or 4. And I want to say it was a foul. Tobias Harris was trying to go around the screen, and they called an offensive foul. And Tobias Harris, I think, had went to the floor, and they called an offensive foul, and they were going to challenge. And even the commentators of the game were saying that they didn't feel like it was a foul, and that maybe it was a challengeable thing. And I read his lips. Doc Rivers looked over to his coaching staff, and he asked him, he looked over to his coaching staff and said, okay, should I challenge? He was like, how many timeouts we got? And the guy said, you got 1 timeout. I heard him. He said 1 timeout, because Doc looked at him. He said 1 timeout. And Doc said, no, I'm not going to challenge, because if they challenge and lose, he loses his last timeout. Because you never know, in the NBA, some of these challenges could be so iffy. You know what I mean? So basically, he said, I'm not going to challenge it. Anyway, that shows you the difference. So then let's focus in on the last couple of plays of the game. So on the last play of the game, the Lakers are down by 1, right? The Lakers are down by 1. LeBron James has the ball. It's like 18 or 19 seconds left. So LeBron James has the ball. It's 18 or 19 seconds left. They have 1 timeout. In my head, I'm already thinking, do not burn this last timeout, because you got 18 or 19 seconds left. There's several reasons why you would want to keep this timeout. Because first of all, you got a veteran in LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who I'm pretty sure can figure out what kind of play and have been coached and understand to know what end of the game situations are. And the end of the game situations is you can come up with a play. I don't care if it's a pick and roll, just something simple, you know, to get easy points. Or at least LeBron, you know, penetrate to the bucket like you always do and draw the foul. Hell, all you need is 1 free throw to tie it. Or either kick it out to the open man like you always do and hit a 3. But instead, Frank Vogel elected to call a timeout. Now, to his credit, he drew up a hell of a play coming out of the timeout. They did a pin down screen out on the edge over in the corner that allowed Anthony Davis to get free. And of course, LeBron James delivered the perfect pass for the easy lay-in for Anthony Davis. Okay, I'm not mad at that part. But now you have no timeouts left, and you're giving the other team plenty of time to score. You're giving the other team plenty of time to score at this point. So, of course, they come back. Now you have no timeouts. Now, let's say you would have got the points, then you still could have had a timeout in the event that Philly scores, which they did. So when Tobias Harris went back down here and scored, now you out of timeouts. You got 2 seconds left, and you couldn't even get a playoff, at least a long shot for LeBron or somebody else. But instead, you give it to Anthony Davis. He's struggling up half court trying to throw up a prayer that just made no sense at all. So the thing about it is, if you wouldn't have wasted that timeout, you would have had a timeout. And of course, as you know, in the NBA, in the fourth quarter, you call a timeout, you can advance the ball to the other side of the court. And if you advance the ball to the other side of the court with 2.4 seconds left, only down by 1, you're still giving yourself a hell of a chance to win, because you can draw up anything at that point to get Anthony Davis free. And let's just say you would have did that play, and let's say you would have came away empty. Okay, if you would have came away empty, you still would have had a timeout. At that point, you would have fouled. Okay, worst case scenario, they would have hit both of their free throws and would have been up by 3. Okay, and then you probably still would have had 6-7 seconds left to call a timeout and come up with a 3-point play at that point. But you save the time out. There's no excuse in a close game to be out of timeouts at the end, especially when you had the ball. Now let's take a look at the play when the 76ers had the ball on that last second and Tobias hit that shot. So basically, they set a high pick and roll, and LeBron James switched off of Tobias Harris, which I hate that because I wanted LeBron James to get Tobias Harris that business. But of course, all these haters and everybody say LeBron is weak. He switched off. Man, it's a basketball play. You're supposed to switch off. I can see if he switched off to somebody trash. He switched off to Seth Curry, who's been more than capable of hitting threes. So if he doesn't switch and fight around the screen, then that league Caruso guarding him. You understand what I'm saying? And then who knows what would have happened. But I would say once the switch was made and LeBron came over to help, I would have liked to see LeBron be a little bit more aggressive in his help defense, because at that point, with little time on the clock, I doubt Tobias Harris is not looking to pass. He's not like a great assist person. So it's not like he's going to find Seth over there for the wide open three. You understand me? Ben Simmons didn't take the shot. He over here pinned down, damn near wide open. So that's why I think that Frank Vogel was really out-coached in the game. Another reason why he was out-coached was also at the end of the game. Why do you have Caruso in? Caruso did his thing, but he's not big on defense. Like, he did his thing, but you got to switch out. You got to substitute players for offense and defense. If you know it's only, 7 or 8 seconds left in the game, and now you need your best defensive players in. So why in the world do you got in Caruso? There's no knock on him. He's a capable defender. But obviously, you saw what happened when they got switched on the pick and roll. Now, had Wesley Matthews been in the game instead of Caruso, then you would have saw the difference. And Wesley Matthews probably could have blocked the shot, got up into him, maybe got the strip or anything, because Wesley Matthews was doing that whenever he was in the game, taking advantage of defensive opportunities. But it was not to be. So we are not going to focus too much on the Lakers loss last night. I mean, it is what it is at this point. They'll get to play them again because you play all your Eastern teams twice. So they'll get a chance to play them again. But they got another game tonight at Detroit. It'll be interesting to see. LeBron hasn't taken a game off yet this season after the short rest. I don't know if he's trying to make a statement that he's going to say he's playing all games this year or what. But maybe he should take a break, because you could easily see, like, the way he was hitting the other night in Cleveland was good. But last night, he was just coming up short on his shots. Like, he just didn't have his legs underneath him. It didn't seem like on a lot of those shot attempts was coming up short. Now, don't get me wrong. He had 34 points. Now, that's how damn good LeBron James is. Here I am criticizing the man. Me, be new, criticizing LeBron James. And I love LeBron James. Y'all know that. But I'm criticizing him because that's my job. I critique. And I'm not a hater of anybody. And speaking of that, the New Jersey Nets. Damn, the Brooklyn Nets. I'm just so used to calling them New Jersey Nets. That was they name my whole life. So anyway, the Brooklyn Nets last night played the Atlanta Hawks. And I was kind of flipping back and forth. I did a split screen at one point watching both games, but hell, I got ADD, so I can only focus on one thing at a time. So I was like, damn, this game went into overtime, so it made me not watch some of the fourth of that game. But anyway, while I was watching that, what I noticed was Kevin Durant, man, he really got hot at the end. He was hitting all his shots. But what I noticed, Trae Young, he missed a key free throw down the stretch, but he made a hell of a play at the end overtime to try to save the ball in order for them to have a last shot, which they did, but it was 0.3 seconds, so it wasn't enough time. But once the overtime kicked off, then of course Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, they just too much of an offensive team that if you go into an overtime, it's going to be pretty tough, because it becomes pretty hard to get buckets because fatigue started to wear in at that point. So let's just remember that. But with the Brooklyn Nets, I'm very impressed by what they do offensively. But unless they get a big man, I'm telling you, Capella was having his way. He didn't score a lot of points, but he was just having his way on the defensive end. DeAndre Jordan is going to keep getting easy buckets because people keep collapsing to the paint around KD, Harden, and Irving, which they just get a little easy oop or the little easy pass off to DeAndre so he can get his. So, but my main observation of that game is of course the Brooklyn Nets still don't really have any defense. It's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Nobody can get any really stops. So I'm just curious to see when they go against a team like the Philadelphia 76ers, when Joel Embiid is a hell of a big man, who are they going to have to stop him? He probably just going to have his way. So, I mean, 76ers proved something to me last night. They look nice, so it's going to be real interesting to watch some of these games play out in the East, especially when the playoffs start, to see how Philly matches up, to see how with Milwaukee and some of these other contenders in the East. And still don't count Miami out yet. They've been injured for the year, so we'll just see what happens when Jimmy Buckets and Tyler Hero come back and they get their chemistry back, because Bam out of Bayou is the truth, but I don't want to jump all over the place. So anyway, this is your boy, as always, just saying. Oh, and one last thing. The Lakers missed a hell of a lot of free throws down the stretch. At one point, LeBron missed 2, then AD missed 2. And you cannot have that and think you're going to win the game. Because had they made them free throws, that could have been the difference maker right there. But like I said, anyway, it's going to be a good season. It's still early on. And for all you hoopers out there, for all you sports fans, y'all just keep tuning in to the channel. We're going to keep breaking it down. If there's anything you'd like for me to break down, put it down in the comments. I'll be more than happy to discuss it. And like I always say, this is your boy B New. I'm saying right on to the real, and much love to y'all haters. I'm out.